Well, hello there, my name is HW, and thank you so much for watching Tone Junkie TV. So last video on the channel, we were talking about the ultimate Kemper rig. It was big, it was bad, it was mean, it was really expensive. And we got a comment, somebody said, well, that's great, HW, but how about a rig that a normal person can afford? And I get it, buying double powered Kemper cabs, a stage, a brand new iPad with a keyboard and a pen, it was all a little overboard. It was a great video. It is an awesome rig that I put together, but it might not be practical for everybody. So today I want to talk about the budget Kemper rig. If you are on a budget, which Kemper should you buy? How can you build a Kemper rig? And more importantly, where you can start building a Kemper rig. So if budget is your main concern, hands down, these are probably going to be the cheapest Kempers you can get. Not this one. This is actually a super rare Kemper called the White Whale. It's the only white rack ever made. But a non-powered rack is typically the cheapest Kemper you can find. Right now though, I will tell you this, I've been seeing a lot of unpowered heads on Reverb. Now they're not gonna come in this beautiful floral finish. That's a custom Tone Junkie piece made for us by Happy Kemper Skins. Shout out to those guys. But basically an unpowered head or an unpowered rack, you're gonna be able to pick up on Reverb for, oh geez, I don't know. Like 12 to 1400 bucks. I mean, you can kind of find them all day long, except there's gonna be one problem. That's great if you have a pedal board and you just want the Kemper to be an amp. But if you want to use it live, you're gonna need this. And these things, this Kemper remote is gonna be like another $400. So if you put these things together, the Kemper remote, the unpowered head, and you can go powered if you want, but it's gonna be more. But we're talking budget. So unpowered Kemper, rack, or head, plus a remote. I mean, you're talking probably 1,800 bucks, 1,600 if you're lucky. That's not cheap. There's a lot of great amps you can get. That's not really a budget solution. So might I suggest, boom, the Kemper stage. It's like both units built in one. Now, if you can find these things used, you maybe will be able to find them for like $1,350, $1,400. I have seen them go for that. But new, they're about $1,500, $1,600, like with tax, you know? And this to me is gonna be your best buy. This really is gonna be your best buy. And if I may be so bold, there's actually a place you can get a Tone Junkie loaded stage, and it's at British Audio, link in the description. And hey, not just Tone Junkie, you can get one from Michael Britt, and Michael Wagner as well. So kind of whatever Kemper flavor you're into, if you dig the Tone Junkie stuff, if you like Michael Britt stuff more, if you're a little more rockin' guy and you want the sound of Master of Puppets on there, you know, you can do that, and you basically get those profiles for free. So I know the Tone Junkie loaded Kemper, you get the entire Tone Junkie library with a Kemper. Now, that may not be your cheapest introduction to the Kemper for the budget rig, but all things included, you get the capability of a remote, a Kemper, and you get all the Tone Junkie profiles, which honestly, it's so many, you're not gonna pay any more for it, and you would never need to buy profiles again. Like, you never have to be a Tone Junkie customer in the future. You have all the profiles you could ever need. I know that doesn't make sense for me to say that as I want people to buy profiles, but that's the God honest truth. You do not need more profiles than what would come with the which is everything so far. Everything so far up until now comes with it. And man, I mean, that might be the best way to go. Now, the other comment I got in the Ultimate Kemper Rig video was, what about headphones? I gotta be honest, I don't know a ton about headphones. I tend to use for in-studio stuff, I use these Audio Technicas that I picked up. They are not very expensive. You can use in-ear monitors. Here's my biggest thing about that. Unless you use your headphones for some other purpose, I wouldn't worry about any headphones being like a really true representation. Headphones being flat is such a different sensation than like the sound being outside your ears. Basically, as long as there's no impedance issues with the headphones, I think you're gonna be fine to sort of use whatever you can find. Now, if you have some pro studio headphones, obviously those are gonna be great. But you know, most of the time, headphones are designed to have a little more bass or a little sweetness in the high end, and they're designed because music usually sounds better that way. We usually don't want a lot of our like consumer audio gear to be flat. We actually like people will say it sounds better with bass and treble and stuff. That's why people pay more for like Beats headphones. They have a ton of bass, and like the Skull Candy stuff, the Apple stuff, they all have like a sweetening effect. And coincidentally enough, there is a sweetening control on the Kemper if you're doing the speaker modeling. Hey HW, it feels like you kind of just made a video so you could remind us that there's a Tone Junkie loaded Kemper available exclusively at British Audio. You kind of it feels like you just want to remind people that you can get all the Tone Junkie stuff for no additional cost if you just buy a Kemper stage. Yeah, maybe a little bit, but actually there's more to this idea than that. When people ask me what Kemper to buy, I think the most important question they need to ask themselves is, how much gear do I want to expand to in the future? In that Ultimate Kemper Rig video, one of the things that really struck me was just how modular the Kemper system is getting. And as guitar players, we really like to buy new gear. We like upgrades, right? We need to search reverb.com for something every night, or else how are we gonna become a better player? God forbid, we have to practice. Okay, seriously though, I highly, highly recommend the stage. It's my favorite unit. It can work with the iPad. It's gonna have Wi-Fi built in. You don't have to have an iPad, and maybe if you jailbreak your iPhone, it'll work with that. Maybe you're gonna get an iPad in the future. Maybe eventually they come out with an Android version. I don't know. But what I'm saying is, if you get the stage, to me, you have the option to use the iPad in the future, even if you don't have it now. And the same thing is true with the cabinets. Maybe it's not in your budget to go get an expensive Kemper cab right now, but maybe you just wanna buy for like 150 bucks one of the Kemper cones and put it in a cabinet you already have, or maybe put it in an old, Hot Rod Deluxe speaker amp cabinet that you're not using. I don't know, whatever your situation is, but if we're talking about budget solutions, I really would start here. Then you can get headphones, or maybe you'll need headphones right away. But maybe you can use studio monitors that you have. Maybe you can put it into the return of an amp if you really don't have anything else. You can buy some headphones for cheap on Amazon. But the modularity of the solution that is the Kemper leaves it open for you to fully expand from basically the cheapest budget, do everything entry system into getting one cab, two cabs, three cabs, four cabs, I don't know, however many you want. You can also go to the iPad, you can go to whatever you want to do, you can go there. Oh, and there's one more thing. Earlier I mentioned that you have to get the remote, and while that's true, the remote gives you all the capability of the Kemper, performance mode, tap, and everything. There is one more solution that lets you do a little bit less. You could, in any event, buy one of these Kempers, just an unpowered rack. You can get them pretty cheap, probably, maybe if you're really lucky, you can find for 1,200 bucks. You can make an offer, kind of lowball someone, and they might need to do the deal quickly. You can get a $1,200 Kemper. That's gonna be a really good deal. But you wanna check out this guy right here. It's like an A/B switch that Kemper sells. Truthfully, it's actually the only product Kemper, I think, makes that I don't own. I've just never had a use for it. But basically what it lets you do is it lets you bank up or down your rigs in profile mode or browse mode. So theoretically, you can actually just click it a couple times. You can cycle through performance mode and browse mode like you were on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or like you were using these up and down buttons. And back to the modularity thing, you could always start with one of those and one of these, and you'd be in there for not too much money, and then later you can add this remote. Now, once you add the remote, you can still assign that switch to be other things on the Kemper. You'll still be able to use it for sort of unique purposes or whatever. You can assign, there's all sorts of stuff you can assign in the Kemper. We'll get into cool button assignments on maybe on the next, the next video or something, but there's actually some pretty cool stuff you can do with holds, freeze. There's the infinity switch. We'll get into all that. Hey, I hope this has been helpful. In case it wasn't clear, I highly, highly recommend this guy to start. I just do. I think it's the best Kemper out there. Unless you want to put it in a rack, fine, put it in a rack. I would check out one of these used. They don't come up a ton used. It seems like heads and racks are used a lot, are the most common. But check these out. If you can't find it used, I really do think the Tone Junkie loaded Kemper is the best deal out there. Or the Michael Brick Kemper if that's more your style, or the Michael Wagner Kemper if that's more your style. But I think it, all things considered, profiles included, that's a really great deal too. But if you can find it used, you'll be able to save some actual dollars. And if that's the most important, you're gonna wanna go that way because honestly, you don't, the free stuff I've given away, it's so plentiful. There's like a million free profiles out there from Tone Junkie. You don't even really need to buy anything ever. So, I've been HW. Thanks so much for watching Tone Junkie TV, and I hope this answers the question. What's the best budget Kemper? HW, out.